Oh. Hello, everybody. It's Deanna Dorell from the Empowered Goddess Society, and I'm here with Goddess Heather Gwaltney. Heather, say hello.
Hello.
And I'm so delighted to bring Heather on to chat with us about meditation. When I first came to Heather, I was just telling her, this is not an area of my expertise. I'm not going to pretend to be an expert. I can barely sit still to write a blog post, let alone a video. So let's bring you on. And so I'd like to share her official bio with all of you, and then we'll go into more informal how we met, because she is a dear friend of mine. So Heather, thanks so much for being here.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay, now you have to be quiet so I can brag about you to everybody. Okay, so people, Heather's meditation teaching mimics her own journey with the practice. Isn't that the truth? We are always teaching what we are learning, right? So Heather began practicing Vipassana meditation, which is also called mindfulness meditation, which I didn't know. And she works in the corporate world and has transformed into this amazing, more authentic version of herself in a way that matches her values through the practice. And she has a master's in organizational development. She's taught classes at George Mason University in communications. She is a director, film director, directed a documentary on women and aging, which we're definitely going to touch on later. And she is also a certified Reiki master teacher. So she is now a 20-year veteran of mindfulness meditation, and her bigger goals are to be happier, healthier, and smarter, and to help other people do the same. And she's currently enrolled in a mindfulness meditation teacher certification to take her teachings all around the world. And later on, we're going to give the link, and you can learn more about Heather and how to contact her. But for now, welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you.
So we met kind of in an unusual circumstance. I was living in Oakland, California, and went to this drumming thing in the Oakland Hills. I didn't quite know what I was getting into, but it turns out that we both had my landlord in common. And he connected us, and we became fast friends, and we've seen each other through countless moves, relationship stuff, career changes. And I always say Heather is like the grounding force to my crazy Leo, airy side. You've always reminded me to keep both feet on the ground and to really look at details when I just want to jump. And I'm just so grateful to call you a friend and a colleague and now collaborator.
Aw, sweet.
So people, we are going to go through just a bunch of information about meditation. If you're new to meditation, feel free to take notes. If you're watching this after the recording, feel free to pop in questions to our Facebook group, and Heather can answer them there. So Heather, I'm going to give you the floor and mute myself. Tell us a little bit about meditation, how you got started, all that jazz.
Absolutely. So I started meditating about 20 years ago, and it started off as a curiosity. It was awkward. I did it maybe for 10 minutes once or twice a week. I didn't know what I was doing. I think I was dating someone who was into it. And so it started off as this curiosity. I felt called to do it, so I just started doing it. And I started going to retreats, and joined a Sangha, a Buddhist meditation group, and just continued to do it. So I started off, doing it 10 minutes a sitting, very seldomly, and now I do it every day, 7 days a week. So sometimes I call meditation my Prozac. I don't even know if people take Prozac anymore, but it's been incredibly helpful to me, and it's wonderful. It's one of my loves. So that's one of the reasons why I'm here today, and I just want to share it with you. If there's something I can learn and help others, then I'm happy to do it. In terms of the benefits of meditating, for this group, I'm assuming, we're all spiritually minded, maybe more sensitive because of that. Meditation, the benefits of meditating for our type of people, it helps ground you so that, if you're spiritual and you feel connected to spirit, and if you're in your head, meditation will bring you into your body. It is a great, great coping mechanism for stress. There's so many opportunities to practice meditation, and also with sensitivity, it helps with boundaries so that you understand what is yours and what is someone else's. That's another one. We live in a world that constantly bombards us and tells us how to be. Meditation helps you get your answers from the inside, right? So it's a little bit counterculture. Rather than going outside for answers, you go inside for answers. So those are the big ones. What I'd like to talk about today are 3 primary points to focus on around meditation. Meditation is really, it's simple. It's simple in practice and conceptually. It's just hard to discipline yourself to do it regularly. So essentially, I know a lot of people assume that in order to meditate, you have to be in this lotus position, your legs crossed, sitting and upright. Some people, yes, with the fingers touching, you can imagine that you have that image. A lot of people do sit. You can sit like that on a cushion if that is comfortable for you. But the biggest part is comfort. So you want to be relaxed, but you also want to be awake. So you can sit like that, you can sit in a chair, you can stand, you can walk, or you can lie down. And lying down is a little tricky because you want to fall asleep, but it is an option. And if you are trying to sleep in bed and you're unable to, meditating while you're lying down is great, and it will help you eventually fall asleep. So the main 3 points I want to address, I'm going to start with breathing. Meditation is all about breathing, focusing on your breath. And by refocusing on your breath over and over again, you're flexing your consciousness muscle. So, and the relevance of that is that when you are in a situation and someone does something, rather than immediately react to something, you actually are able to step back by being conscious and thoughtfully respond to the situation, as opposed to just having this knee-jerk reaction. So that's the core thing, is your breath, always refocusing on your breath. So I'd like for us to have a little experiment and just sit for 2 minutes and focus on our breath. So I'm going to time this, okay?
I'm so glad you're timing this, and I'm going to take myself off video for a second, you guys, because I know that I'll get squirrely and distract you all.
Yeah. And I just want to add, too, that what Deanna is describing in terms of being distracted and squirrely, that's actually the norm. That's how people usually are in their day-to-day. So just expect that to be there. Okay, so let's go ahead and start. Just find a comfortable place. If you're sitting, have your shoulders down, engage your stomach muscles, and just relax. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get started. Close your eyes. Okay. So when you're breathing, Just inhale and exhale slowly. And try to relax that space between your eyes. And then move down to your jaw and relax your jaw and your throat.
We did it, you guys.
Hey, you made it for
Oh
those
my
first 2 minutes. Okay, so now we know about this breath thing. Okay, now I want to talk about nose breathing. That's the second most important thing you need to know about meditation, is to try your hardest to breathe through your nose. And this is why. And I just learned about this nose breathing situation maybe a year ago, and I've been doing this for 20 years. So the why part. So the nose, three main things about the nose and why it's good to try to breathe through it is your nose hairs actually filter out toxins from oxygen. Okay, so it's really cool. And this little tiny thing on your face, breathing through it, you filter air toxins. And another thing is, because it's a smaller way to get oxygen into your body, it slows the breathing down, right? So when you slow your breathing down, you're slowing everything down. So it has a very calming, relaxing effect, okay? Another part of it is when you're inhaling and exhaling through your nose, because it slows things down, your body is exposed to more oxygen. So you're actually getting more oxygen in your body when you're doing that. I'm a person that has chronic sinus issues and stuffiness in my nose. I think that's why I haven't focused as much on it. But what you can do to help with that is it's called nasal irrigation. If some of you have heard about the neti pot or a sinus rinse, I actually brought something to show you. This is what I use, and you can get it at any. Do you have it, Deanna?
Yeah, I used it when I thought I had the flu, but I tried everything. I was like, that stuff works.
It's amazing. That bottle is the easiest thing to deal with. The neti pot is complicated and more uncomfortable. Exactly. So this you can get at a grocery store, anywhere really, and it's cheap. And you put some salt water in there, and you're good to go. So that's the nose breathing. We're going to do the 2 minutes practicing the nose breathing. So let's practice that. Ooh, and I have one other thing to tell you, a little tip. If you're struggling breathing through your nose, you can leave your mouth open just slightly, and then put your tongue on the roof of your mouth, and that will cause some of the air to go through your nose at the same time. And sometimes that opens things up a little bit.
I like that tip. I just tried it.
Good. Yeah, exactly. So let's give it a try. 2 minutes. Let's do it.
So in through the nose, out through the nose?
Yes, thank you
Okay.
for that. Yes, in through the
Okay.
nose, out through the nose. And try to breathe as deeply and slowly as you can. And notice how your body feels. And if you can relax your shoulders, just breathe into any tension that may be there. Also notice if it feels any different than breathing through your mouth. So we
Sweet.
are done with that practice. Okay, so
So I wanted to share kind of like what that process was like. Is that okay?
go for it, yeah.
So I noticed like when I breathe through my mouth, it almost feels like there's more space, but it's like a false sense of space. And I feel almost like a little like scattered. Like it feels very labored. Whereas like with the nose, it felt like it forced me to focus, right? Because there's only a certain amount of air that comes through our nostrils. And so I was like really conscious of how I was holding and how I was exhaling. And so I feel like that in itself is a meditation practice, like just to direct the breath.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's really good. And I will add that, you said something about spaciousness when you inhale through your mouth, like it seems bigger, but you feel more lightheaded. It's a wider, more shallow type of breathing. And also it's bad when you're hyperventilating, like when you have maybe a slight anxiety attack or something, you definitely want to breathe through your nose.
Okay, good to know.
Breathing through your mouth makes it worse. It also makes you more susceptible to snoring and sleep apnea. So there are articles written about this. It's amazing. It really is amazing. So, okay, we talked about focus on breath, nose breathing, and now I want to talk just a little bit about the mindfulness piece.
Cool.
Okay, so mindfulness, how I like to describe it and how it's been taught to me is like two wings of a bird. Okay, so on one side you have this awareness. Okay, so you're aware of what's going on inside of you, what's going on around you. Okay, so there's one wing of the bird. The other wing of the bird is compassion. Okay, so you're constantly trying to balance awareness and compassion, right? Compassion can be towards yourself, it can be towards others. As it relates to mindfulness, you're really trying to practice compassion towards yourself, of course, to ultimately project more compassion outward. But it always starts here, right? So let's say in your mindfulness practice, when you're meditating or just in life, you have a lot of awareness, but you don't have compassion for yourself. Okay, so you're a little lopsided.
Mm-hmm.
And what that may look like is that you're hard on yourself, like you see stuff happening, but you get angry or agitated, or, so that's an example there. Now, conversely, if you're compassionate without awareness, you may fall into a place of victimhood where you feel sorry for yourself. You go back down the rabbit hole. I mean, we've all experienced both of these states, right?
So true.
It's good to practice both and be in balance. So when you see things come up, you hold it with tender kindness and you allow it to be there. That's that mindfulness piece too, is you always meet yourself where you're at. And if you see things you don't like, you just allow it to be there, and you're like, oh, I am being judgmental right now, or oh, I'm feeling anger right now, or stress, and you breathe, and you hold it with tenderness, and you cultivate this friendly relationship with yourself, so that you can kind of see humor in things. You don't identify with a particular emotion. You just see that it's there inside of you. And actually by the breath and by watching it, like being more of an observer than a judge, you're able to process those feelings. And then they tend to work themselves out. So it's a very therapeutic process.
What do you feel like in your practice, like, is there a tendency like to fall to one side of the spectrum or the other? Like what I know in the corporate culture, yeah.
Personally, yes, like a double yes. So I am amazing on the awareness side. And the compassion part is actually something that maybe in the last year or so I've been able to cultivate that a little more, but that has been the most challenging because I'm a little judgy. Like, that's one of my underbelly qualities. Like, so of course it's because I'm hard on myself first, and then it gets reflected outwards. But so I'm starting to build the compassion part more, and it's really lovely when you're able to be soft towards yourself and allow yourself to feel and just, see how things go.
Yeah, because I imagine we have a tendency to be aware without having the compassion. We're more prone to reacting versus like responding to situations, right? So it's like go for what's wrong or go for who did us wrong. And then, bringing in that, just like, is it just a decision? Like you just decide to be more compassionate? Like what helps us like step into compassion?
Practice. It's a practice. And I wanted to say two other things about meditation, and what you're saying kind of triggered this thought. Meditation, awareness, compassion, all of these things are not an end state. It's not like one day I'm compassionate, one day I'm aware. It's like a moment by moment practice. So if you're doing meditation for the first time, if you're trying to continue, it's just always a practice. And so you just keep doing it over and over and over again. And again, I said meeting yourself where you are. So if you're angry, you start breathing with the anger feelings. If you're sad or stressed, you do the same. If you're happy, you allow yourself to feel happy. So it's really this friendly relationship wherever you are. It's great. Okay. So we're going to practice mindfulness for 2 minutes, okay? So as things come up, you can try to focus your attention on your breath. If you have repetitive thoughts or repetitive feelings, start to watch those as a witness and see if you can learn something. You might have sensations in your body that reoccur, tightness in your throat or your stomach, or repetitive thoughts that go through your mind. So I'll tell you when.
Any particular breath? Are we going to do nose breathing for this?
Yeah, thank you for that. Yes. So now that we know that nose breathing is it, let's try to do that. If you're able to breathe through your nose, that's the best. All right, let's get started. Close your eyes. So you can even check in with yourself. You may be relaxed You may be feeling stress. You may be feeling a lot of things. So just allow whatever's there to be there. And see if you can hold it with gentle kindness. You may notice you have tingling sensation in your hands, in your head. You can gently open your eyes.
That was lovely.
Yeah, so hopefully people are feeling a tiny bit better now than they did before they came. Okay, so I talked about breathing, nose breathing, and the two wings of the bird, the mindfulness. And I want to leave you with one last bonus little nugget of information. It's called the power of the pause. Okay, so what that means is that in a stressful situation, you just stop what you're doing. Okay, I mean, if you're driving a car, you can't stop the car, but you kind of stop whatever circular thinking you're in to the extent that you can, and you stop and you take 3 long, slow, deep breaths. And by doing so, that it kind of it resets you a little bit. And I do this a lot myself when I'm driving because I commute a lot, and it's so powerful. Just taking those 3 breaths.
Through the nose and out through the nose, or any normal breath?
Nose, always nose.
Always nose, okay.
Yeah, with the nose breathing, I have incorporated it into my just daily breathing. I just try to breathe through my nose as much as possible. So you can take that, you know, in any context, really. So I invite everybody on this call to practice the pause once a day when you're feeling stressed. So I invite you to do that for the next month.
Love that.
And on the Facebook page, I'll check in with you in a month and see how things are going. And yeah, I want to open things up for any questions. Deanna, do you see any questions from people?
So one question, first off, thank you. That was so like succinct and just like, you know, everyone can wrap their head around these tips, and just the idea of remembering to breathe in the middle of our busy day. Like, all of you are in this group for a different reason. Some of you are looking to up your, you know, feeling powerful in relationships and love relationships or family. Others of you are here to really feel confident in yourselves, starting a business or a new career path. And still others of you are really just looking to increase that self-confidence in your everyday life. So whatever the intent, using this breath to support your intent, to support your, you know, your 30-day goals, your bigger intention for 2019. I'd love to ask you, Heather, in terms, like, if somebody is new to meditation, like they know it's good for them, but life gets in the way, like when you first started, like what would you say, like the base minimum, like if we were to set a timer on the iPhone, like if 2 minutes even feels like it's a stretch for people, like what would you say?
Right. Thank you for that. Yeah. So you, like I said, you meet yourself where you're at. People are so different, right? So for you said you're more jittery and you like to move around more.
Mm-hmm.
So setting the 2 minutes. If 2 minutes is what you can do, then do the 2 minutes. And then try to create a routine and then stick to it, okay? I will say too that if you are more of a jittery, high energy person, try do a walking meditation so that you're moving, but you're also focusing on your breath. So you're doing so in a mindful, slower way. Okay.
You still do the nose breaths, like
they'll do the nose breath.
Go for a walk.
If you can do 5 minutes, 10 minutes, do it. I think it's good to figure out what time of day works for you. My time of day has changed depending on what my lifestyle is, what my work schedule is. Right now, I do it when I first wake up because I try to put myself together from the inside out before I
I love that.
So I do it for 30 to 40 minutes every morning.
Wow.
Sometimes, but I've been doing this for 20 years, right? So sometimes I do it after work. If I've had a really stressful day, I'll do it after work too. So it's really whatever works for you. And I will also add that if you, let's say you have a goal in mind that you want to do it, 5 days a week, and then you miss a couple days, just be like, okay, so what? Just do it again. Like, try not to be hard on yourself, judge yourself. I also recommend rewarding yourself. Like if you've been particularly disciplined or you've met your own personal goal, do something fun and like go see a movie. Yeah, play with unicorn stickers. Are those stickers? Uh-huh. Yeah, sure. Unicorns are awesome. Do something that just, makes you feel good.
I love that. So start where you're at, and it's more important to be consistent, like anything else, right? So going to the gym, eating, like awareness. Oh, yeah.
Consistency is good. But if you break the consistency, go back in and be like, okay, so what? And, it's all about practicing. If you're doing it, you're doing it, and it's great,
Another question is like, so for the corporate culture that you're in, where it's very much prized to come from your head and like your intellect and logic, how have you found this meditation practice integrates into that kind of
that's a good question. Right. That's a really good question. It has really helped me survive, to be honest. I am far more calmer than I used to be. And I'll see people lose their shit in meetings or whatever. I'm like, oh, they're losing their shit right now.
That you're losing your shit right now.
So I'm able to kind of step back a little bit and just kind of watch and be like, and then I'm able to kind of take things in and process them from a slight distance so that I don't become completely consumed by it, right? So there's that piece. Another thing too is that my mind is much clearer. Like I am so much better with details. Helps with my writing, so I do a lot of writing. And historically or in the past, like when I would write, I would make more typos and the sentence structure was different, and now I can see things more, so things are clearer. When I'm in meetings, I'm able to be more present. Like when I hear things, I hear them 100%, and I'm much more aware. So I feel smarter because of it. I have a healthier emotional distance, and I feel clearer and smarter and more grounded. And I can see through bullshit. I can just like read things more easily. It's great.
Love that. Thank you for that. And I can't help but ask too, so as far as relationships go, like a lot of the women in our group are really wanting to call in a soulmate or just improve their relationship with themselves. Can you dedicate your meditation practice to healing a relationship, let's say, or, can you meditate to help you, release this pattern of attracting the same kind of man, for example? Like, can you dedicate it that specifically, or is it easier in the beginning to just focus on the breath and not have a specific focus?
I think, well, the breath is always should be primary focus. I will amend that statement somewhat, though, with a little bit about what you're talking about, and that is to set an intention. Mm-hmm. So a good idea before you sit, stand, or walk and meditate is to set an intention beforehand. What is it that you're trying to achieve in that particular sitting? That's one way to maybe cultivate more of what you want. Mm-hmm. In terms of meditation will help you understand more clearly what your needs and desires are. You get more connected to your values and what's important to you, and then that friendliness towards yourself. So that helps with the relationship you have with yourself. In terms of relationships with other people, again, it helps me to see where my stuff starts and ends and where their stuff starts and ends. So not perfectly, of course, but it really helps. So you have a little bit more objectivity. It also helps with compassion. So that if you're feeling sad or something, you can be with that. If someone you love is feeling upset, maybe you allow them to just feel what they feel and you sit with them in that space. Do you know what I mean?
I love
Rather
that.
than reacting or trying to control. Sometimes when people are in an emotional place, the tendency is to fight or flight, right? You either want to fight it or you want to get the heck out of there. And that's usually people's baseline, to be honest. So what meditation does is it helps you just sit with whatever comes up, whether it's with you or with someone that you love.
So good. So good. I love this. So, all right. Hello, Aditi. I'm so glad you're here. We are going to open it up to more questions. Again, if you guys are watching this later, please write to Heather. Just tag her in the Facebook group underneath the post or on the wall. It's fine. She'll see it. Aditi says hi to everybody. Hello.
Hi.
And I'd love to open up the floor to, like, how can we get more of Heather? If people are watching this and they're like, I want to know more about this movie, or, what you're up to, what's the best way to connect with you?
Well, I think in terms of this group, if anyone has any questions, like you just said, I'm available on the Facebook group. If people want to see a little bit more about my work, I do have a website for the documentary I did, and I've got a page dedicated to a book I'm writing for women. Awesome. And that's on the documentary website too. So the website is agelessthemovie.com. So ageless as in, aging. Yeah, perfect. Yeah.
Ageless, the movie. And then what is that about, even though it sounds kind of obvious? Like, why are you interested in that?
Well, the movie is a critique on America's attitudes towards women and aging with a focus on the media. So we're saying that the media programs women that were never young enough, sexy enough, or good enough, right? So we have this like external programming that goes on, but in spite of it, women have, transcended some of these boundaries as well. So it's both inspirational. We tell stories about amazing women, and it also critiques this kind of phenomenon we have in America in particular. I think America is the worst about this media situation and how it impacts us as women.
Love it. And the biggest thing that I've gotten from our chat today is that compassion has to start from inside us. Mm-hmm. Right? Like our breath, we could do the perfect nose breath. We could have the, clearest intention, but without the compassion piece and the commitment to compassion, it's just another tool, right? It's just another thing you check off your list and move through your day and wonder why you're not seeing changes. So I love that you brought that up. And remembering that as women, we hold so much energy for other people. I mean, we were talking about this before we recorded, and how just taking 30 seconds, 1 minute to be aware of what's showing up in your body, of how you're feeling, can do wonders for your intuition, your mental clarity, your ability to kind of sidestep uncomfortable or unnecessary conversations or obstacles. I mean, so many things. So thank you so much for sharing your time and your wisdom with us.
Absolutely.
Any last words before we wrap today?
Yeah, I think sisterhood is really important to me, number one. I think this awareness, compassion, it softens your edges and it makes you stronger. So I encourage people to explore this if they feel called to do it. And I'm here if anyone has questions at any point.
Love it. Oh, and we did mention this a little bit, but just to kind of spotlight it. So Heather shared the different ways, right? That the nose breath, the aspects of like a basic meditation practice. And so each month she's been gracious enough to, agree to come on into our group and post a reminder. So maybe 1 month, it might be, hey, let's all do just 2 minutes of nose breath every day this month or every week. And just to check in. This is not going to be a formal part of the society, but it's a reminder for you to breathe and to be centered and present. So thank you for doing that as well.
You're welcome.
All right, everyone, have a magical, magical day wherever you are and whenever you're seeing this. And we look forward to just bringing more vitality and connection and love to the planet, starting with each of you and within yourselves. So much gratitude and lots of love.
Yeah, bye.